art is also incredibly therapeutic. And while can help you connect to other people, it's also a great way to connect to yourself.
It's Rusty Diamond, motherfucker. Yo, man. Oh, Miss Rusty. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Public Access Podcast, the podcast here on the Rusty Diamond Podcast Network. I'm your host, Rusty Diamond. Find me at rustydiamond.net, hypnosisisgreat.com, popuphealing.net, whatever one of those you want to do. We are here live in PA on November 6, 2024. Is episode 605. I have my special guest right here and right now. My special guest right here and right now is Sarah Stewart. Oh, nope. I got to do that. I got to do that. Do they have Publishers Clearinghouse up in Canada?
Um,
Or is that a
I
thing?
That's funny, I know of it because of TV. I'm not entirely sure if it is a thing that happens here or if that's just a US thing. Sometimes our things sort of merge together a little bit in pop culture. So I've
Yeah.
never personally seen it happen here, but I'm
Okay.
not going to
So
say for sure it doesn't exist.
do you know what it is?
I do, yeah.
Okay. So I just got a voicemail from somebody, and so it starts playing like is or Publishers Clearinghouse. You have won our monthly prize of $4,500,000. Please call this number to uh claim your prize, and you can leave a voicemail if we do not pick up, and please call back. And then the whole thing starts over, and this is Publishers Clearinghouse. You have won our monthly prize of $4,500,000. I was like, okay, all right. So that's kind of what's going on today. I may call them back. I like to have fun with those people. Um,
One of the people in our house does the same thing. Anytime they get a spam call, they make it fun for themselves.
yeah, and it ain't so bad. Sometimes you have to. Um, Sometimes I let it roll off, but doesn't always happen. I like to have it happen more, but sometimes it's like, yeah, I like to just
Keep it
take this
interesting.
call. Yeah, keep it interesting. Um, how is your day going? Have you won $4,500,000 today from Publishers Clearinghouse as well?
Not quite that good, but it was actually
Okay.
a really interesting day. My 4-year-old started his residency at a nearby museum. So they have a space set up there for him to work and a gallery space for him to show his work. And so today was his
Whoa.
first day there. So that was pretty fun and interesting.
What's that like?
It's pretty cool. I like kind of having a defined space and purpose for doing things. And so it was really how it came to be was kind of interesting. So he went to a workshop there over our March break, which is like your spring break there, and made some art. And then I had posted about it and tagged the museum. And they said, "Oh, we should invite Lyndon to be our first artist in residence at the museum." And so I messaged the curator and said, "Hey, you might have been joking about that, but also we could actually do that." and and so
Yeah.
he's going on Roger's daytime with the curator of the museum and talking about the program, and we're inviting community artists in every month to work with him, and so making a thing of it.
Whoa. So wait, what's that gonna be them working with him? Is that they're doing art together
Yeah,
or
so he's the artist in residence at the museum. So
okay.
he's four, so he's, experimenting with different mediums and different art styles. And so some of the time we'll go in and I'll just, bring materials and let him do his thing, teach him little things here and there. And the other half of the time, we're going to bring in artists from the community to teach him techniques and do collaborations with him.
Okay. That's a really cool idea. Is that uh a novel idea, or is that something that, because I don't know if I've heard that before. It sounds pretty new and crazy and but like so fucking cool and perfect.
It's pretty fun. I like to think outside the box a little bit. Like, an artist in residency program is certainly nothing unheard of, and lots of museums and other spaces have them. But
A
I don't know
four-year-old.
of many 4-year-olds who have been an artist in residence. And
Yeah.
I think our slant of making sure we're involving the community as well is a little bit different.
Which is a great one too, because then yeah, it's his community and it's gonna be all the other artists around him. So like
Mhm.
that's just gonna be better and better growing up. Um how did the art come about? Was it I mean he's probably better than I am right now at 4 years old than I am at 42.
Honestly, I'm kind of surprised sometimes because I've been, making art in various forms my whole entire life. And he has sometimes ideas that I wouldn't have thought of and has like a really good sense of balance and color theory and stuff, which is kind of fascinating because again, he's 4, but he did his first public exhibition at the beginning of the year when he was still only 3. I was exhibiting at Art in the Branches, and they thought it would be really cool because I posted some of the photos that he'd taken online. They thought it would be really cool if we co-exhibited, and so he had a bunch of his photos up for the month. And then I ran an art show with my partner Ken recently, and it was all movie monster themed, and he wanted to take part in that too. So he did the creature from the Black Lagoon, and that was awesome. So we kind of just we never really limit opportunities based on, age or anything like that. If it's open to the public, it's open to you. My 9-year, well, she's 15 now, but when my daughter was 9, she wrote and directed a play at one of the major theaters here in Ottawa because there was an open call for a one-act play festival. And she said, "Hey, mommy, am I allowed to submit for that?" I don't see why not. Let's email them and find out. And so, we kind of just let the kids run with whatever they think is interesting.
What was that play about?
Her little one, it was about a little flower who was smaller than all of the other flowers, and she wrote music for it and everything, and helped make costumes and directed it. It was adorable.
How does she make music for it? What kind of music are we talking here? What's
Yeah, she wrote the music. She wrote the songs for it, and it was like a refrain that happened over and over. So she wrote the music for it, and I think I helped her figure out guitar chords for it, and that was the music. It was neat. It was fun to watch. She did a great job.
and what about the costumes?
Yeah, so the costumes, she was 9, so she couldn't do it entirely on her own. So she helped design them, and I'm actually a costume designer. I've done that for film and theater before. So I
Oh
helped
shit,
her
okay.
execute her plan.
Nice. And so so you had the equipment lying around. The
Pretty
equipment
much, yeah.
was there. Okay, that's good. That's a big help.
Same with the art, right? We have like because I
Yeah,
run an arts collective and art is a big part of our life. We just have art supplies literally everywhere, which is a bit of a problem that we're trying to rectify. But
but is it if it's going towards art? I mean,
I mean, problem is a bit of a stretch, but if anyone wants to use the dining room table, that's not happening. So,
right.
yeah,
It's time to yeah, that table like if it's like with the puzzle.
yeah,
When it once it's there, there's a waiting room I go to and there's a puzzle and it's like don't touch the puzzle, like someone's working on the puzzle, don't touch it.
yep.
Okay, all right, I won't touch it. um have you ever had some of your art, I don't know if it destroyed's the right word, or um maybe made different, or have you ever destroyed some of your work before on your own, either on
Yeah.
purpose or accident?
Honestly, right. So I work every Tuesday. Josh, who lives with me, is one of my partners, is part of the Arts Collective. We every Tuesday we do art, pretty much no matter what. Like someone has to be dying for art day to not happen. And he's a collage artist. And one of the things I like to do collage as well. It's one of the things that I do sometimes. But what I started doing and really liked was instead of actually gluing everything down, I would just assemble the collage as it would look if I were to glue it down and then just wipe it off. It was really hard to do that the first couple of times because, I just created something and now I'm destroying it. But then I found, wait, this is actually really freeing and allows me to maybe actually be even more creative than I would have been otherwise because I can try things that are a little bit out there and then just do this if it doesn't work. So I
Right.
actually do deliberately destroy the things I create sometimes because I don't know, it's kind of freeing. But also, sometimes I'll make a painting and then, 5 or 6 years later go, I don't really love that anymore and create something else on top of it.
And so, I mean, so then that is there something creating on top of the art? Is that you going with, energy or something to that effect? Is there still some sort of energy from the uh first work that's getting painted over? Or is there something you do to say, be gone or anything like that? That's what I
No,
say now, be gone. I just,
it's actually quite deliberately not completely painted over. If I'm going to do that, I like to sort of incorporate in what was there before. So I might, take a painting from before and collage over top of it, or take a photograph that I've done as a print and paint over top of it. So kind of like, making something suddenly a little bit more mixed media than it was before and turning it into something new while still retaining some of the, original personality.
yeah. And so where does your art end up? Um, so I don't know if you're somehow at a surplus of art and not enough wall slash refrigerator slash closet space. Where does it end up? And you said dining room table.
Yep.
Um, how does
And
that
then
get
the side
managed?
and the side table in the dining room and the closet and a bunch of walls everywhere. But also like I'm dropping off art later today at a store that's about 2 hours away that asked me to bring some things out, some of my glass jewelry, and we have a couple of other places like that. So I'll sort of
Cool.
ship things off to different places. And then we also put everything online. So sometimes it gets shipped to other people's houses to hang on walls.
Which is nice. Yeah, you only have so many walls. So yeah, you have to go on other people's walls. And
And
yeah,
really, most of our walls are taken up with board games. So wall space is at a premium.
yeah. So uh have you ever done a piece based off of any of those board games you play?
Uh, I actually haven't done a lot of board game art. Jen, who I taught to do digital art, made a whole series of board game digital art, which was super cool, and actually made those into leggings, which I really love. So
Whoa.
that was pretty awesome. There is one art project though that I have on my list for this year that it's been there for a while, but I think this time I can get it done because we should have a studio space in a month. So I we go to the World Board Game Championships every year. One of my favorite games there is Pirates Cove. It's
Where is that? Where
it's in
where is
Pennsylvania, actually.
okay.
Yeah,
All right, where in Pennsylvania?
Seven Springs.
Oh, okay. That's a big resort out there in the mountains.
That's right. Yeah. So it's an
Okay.
off-season ski resort. We take it over for 10 days in the summer and play hundreds and hundreds of board games. So it's pretty awesome.
Wow.
And I really like Pirates Cove. I won the world championship one year, so I was Pirate Queen for a year. And I
Holy
love
shit,
that
you're
game.
fucking Pirates Cove champion of the world.
Pirate
Whatever
Queen,
year
not
that
this year,
was.
a couple years ago.
Did I
But
say it
I
wrong?
no, that's right. You're right.
Oh,
I
okay. Okay. I thought I
so so I want to make a big 3D Pirates Cove board. I want to
whoa.
take 9 tiles and make a 3 foot by 3 foot big 3D Pirates Cove game with all handmade elements, and I have it all mapped out. I have an entire plan. I just need to sit down and do it. So it combines two things I really love, art and board games, and it's pretty high up on my project list this coming year.
And so then do you drive down there to
Yep.
the place? Okay. So what happens when you go through the border and you have the Canadian Border Patrol? I guess let me know it'd be the American Border Patrol
Yeah.
asking you what's this?
And
Has
I
that
will tell them
happened before?
exactly what it is. Yeah. So we do travel there with a lot of board games as well. So we bring, there are 125 tournaments. So we bring with us the games that we own because there are only so many in the library of the Board Game Players Association. So people are encouraged to bring their own copies so that more people can sit and play in each tournament. So we come with a giant trunk full of board games and leave with a
Wow.
trunk even more full of board games. But
Are they
but
different
every year
ones?
they're
Is it
used
like
to
a
us coming at that same time of year. So I think it's on our profile now. These people show up at this time of year specifically for this reason.
wow. Okay. What's that atmosphere like? Are you guys all staying in the same place? Like the same hotel? So what's that? Is there like, you know, 1 a.m. Swim in the pool or something, or like 1 a.m.
There
or I don't
there
know,
are
like
1 a.m. activities, but not
1
swimming.
a.m.
They shut the pool down on
activities.
us.
Okay,
So
cool. Or
it's
yeah, or
it's
like
it's really like it's fabulous. Honestly, the first games of the day start at 9 a.m. It's around 125 different tournaments, so you can play in tournaments, all of various levels. So there's a tier of like, you don't really need to learn this game ahead of time, just come and show up and play. There's please attend a demo or read the rules first. And there's you really don't sit down at this game unless you know what you're doing, which is less of those and more of the other two. So the games start at 9 o'clock in the morning and the last game of the day is at 11 o'clock at night. And that one's a
whoa.
continuous play until there's a winner. So that usually goes until after midnight. But then there's also like the unofficial games that aren't tournament games. So there are groups of people that play like the social deduction games, like Werewolf and Blood on the Clock Tower. And that often goes on until 6 o'clock in the morning. So there's almost 24-hour gaming happening in that space. And a lot of people stay at the hotel that's attached to the resort. Some people stay at places nearby and then come in the mornings. But it's always a really awesome atmosphere. It's something we look forward to every year, and something terrible would have to happen in our lives for that not to happen every year.
How much Mountain Dew is consumed at that at the tournament of
Probably a lot.
tournaments?
Yeah, I'm gonna say probably a lot, and also more energy drinks in that time than is reasonable, for the
Eh,
the horde as a whole. But I, it's a
That's the
convention,
new.
and it's a
Yeah.
lot of long days, and so there were several years where like at least half of us go home sick. So every year now I like try my best to leave my hotel room in the morning with a bag full of healthy snacks and a giant bottle of water. The hotel has water stations all over the place so that you're remembering to hydrate. So they do a good job of preparing for the influx of people too. And there's still going to be some convention illness that pops up, but you really have to make an effort to to take care of yourself when there are so many fun things to do.
Yeah. And so what time of the year was this?
Happens the end of July, beginning of August every year.
Okay. So you got a little bit of time. So when you went this year, what would you do?
Well, this past year I was terribly ill well, not ill, but I had back problems and a bladder infection the whole entire time. And
Oh,
so
and you
I,
went.
I went, well, I was there and then it happened. The back always is a little sketchy, but I still played in games. I still got out and did my gaming. I still assistant GM to game. I did the things that I had to do, but boy, it was not as pleasant as I would have liked it to be. But it's
Oh,
nice to see the same friends over and over every year. And even if I feel like crap, there's still value in that. But this year, I'm gonna be healthy, I swear. It's happening.
yeah. So do any of you meet up then outside of this? Or is I don't know, are there more people other than you coming from Ontario
Oh
that
yeah.
go.
We even have t-shirts. So,
Okay.
so there's
What's
a
on your
whole group,
t-shirt?
Dice Loving Canucks.
Okay,
So
so
there's a whole group of us that comes from Ontario. Sometimes we travel together, sometimes we kind of get there separately. Some people that aren't from Ontario, that are from other parts of Canada, that are sort of a part of our horde. There are people that come from countries all over the world actually to WBC. I forget how many countries were represented last year, but it was a fairly high number. I like that it seems to be getting like some international visitors too. I met people from Germany and people from the UK, and yeah.
coming to win, be the board game champion, such as yourself, but not a
Yeah.
Pirates Cove. They could try. They
Yeah,
could
no.
try. How'd you get so good at Pirates Cove? What's your, not to give away your secrets, or do you play against people more you know, or like what's the difference between when you play someone you know or someone you don't know?
Really none. I'm going to shoot your ship either way. But really, I think honestly, like I just really love the game and it's so much fun, so I enjoy it either way. But I've played it enough because I enjoy it so much that at any given point, I can pretty much decide what my best course of action to have the most likelihood of getting the most points out of it on any given turn is. And so, sometimes the dice won't cooperate, or you'll have other people who also have all of those answers. But I think just playing the game often enough and really enjoying it allows me to sort of see the best way forward.
Yeah. And okay, so then are you making are like people bringing new games in and it's like the drop of 2025, like this is the new game that everyone's got to play. This is the buzz around the convention of the new game that comes in,
Sort of.
or
So there's a little bit of that in the way that we vote in games to play. So prior to the convention, people can put games on a list that they want to vote on for what gets played in tournament because there are only so many slots. So there are games that get in from last year based on how many play hours they had, essentially. And then there's also a list that people vote on for new games that come in. So that'll often be like, games that have been popular that year that people really want to see get to the table. Some people will sponsor in a game, so you can pay to have a game put into tournament. So some companies will come and do that, or if someone has designed a game, sometimes that happens. But there's also, in addition to all of the tournaments and just the inherent fun of being at a ski resort where there are lots of things to do, there's also a huge open gaming area. So the Board Game Players Association has their own library of tons and tons of games, and they set off one section of the convention center to just be open gaming. So a lot of times people will bring new games that aren't on the list in there to play, especially if they've designed a game, and sort of just, network with people and say, hey, let's sit down and play this game. It gets them to get their game out there, and it's a nice way to do that.
who's your favorite person you've met at the whole convention any year? Like, has there been someone that you was it someone you just found in there, or someone that you played a game against and you're like, oh, we should probably be friends?
Absolutely, several of them. And so I'm going to say there are lots of people that fit that criteria. A lot of my friends that I talk to regularly have come from there. There are a lot of people that I might not talk to a lot during the year, but getting to see them at that particular time, it's like going to adult summer camp. You get to see all your friends again at one time of the
Yeah.
year. But I will say there is one friend that I met there who we originally met because we played a lot of the same games and we had kids about the same age, so we talked about that and chatted about lots of things. And I really appreciate my friendship with him because we came to realize after we, run out of basic things to talk about that we're kind of on opposite ends of the political spectrum and maybe don't agree on a lot of things that are politicalized issues. And
Sure.
so that I think that's actually really valuable to me because I already have a great connection with this person. We have a wonderful friendship. We make sure to spend time together when we're there, but also, chat every once in a while throughout the year too. And I think it's really good for me and good for everyone to have people that they're close with and that they have a good connection with, who they don't necessarily agree with everything on. It's really nice for us to be able to have conversations about those things and understand that we definitely are on opposite sides of the coin on a lot of things, but are still able to have a respectful conversation about it and still see the value in each other as people either way. So that I think is probably the best connection that's come out of there for that reason specifically.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. And it's nice. Like it's easy to find something you have in common. And hopefully go for that as opposed to just, everything that's different. Unless it's like you're like, okay, and you agree to disagree, maybe you talk about it, or you might maybe you poke fun at them even,
Yeah,
or they poke fun at you, but at the same time, it's like, okay, well, that's what you think. I'm not going to change your mind, and I don't really care either way. So you do you, I'm gonna do me, and we're cool. We're
pretty
good.
much, yeah. And I mean, like there's certainly been a time or two where I distinctly remember one time where we got together when we first got there and sat down to have a drink and we're having a conversation. And then I was like, you know what? Actually, I really would like to still like you by the end of this drink. So let's move on to another topic of conversation. And that's
Yeah,
okay too. Sometimes, as long as you can recognize, wait a
yeah,
minute, you know what? Maybe we're gonna move
yeah,
along now.
yeah, yeah, because this is something that we probably should not talk about right now. Like, there's something else we can talk about. A lot of our things right now. Let's go there. Let's do that. That's
Exactly.
a good idea. And yeah, okay. And so, um, what was the first year like? How'd you find it the first year?
So my partner Adam also super duper into board games, and I think he'd already gone for a couple of years before we got together. And as soon as I invited him to a board game party for the first time, I was like, "Oh my gosh, I know what you have to do." So he's very passionate about WBC. He's not someone that gets excited about a lot of things, and that is one thing that he gets very excited about board games and WBC in particular. So that's how I ended up there the first time, and it was everything I expected and more. I really enjoy the atmosphere. And I mean, I don't go specifically to win games. Like I don't practice ahead of time and stuff like a lot of people do. I think of it more like, oh, isn't it nice that I can show up in a space at this specific time and there will be 20 to 100 people who also love this game that I like to play.
Yeah, why not do that?
Yeah.
Um, so how's that drive? How's that drive go? Where do you have to, I
It's
mean, at
it's
least
not,
it's in the summer, I guess. I could
yeah.
imagine in the winter that could be a bit of a tricky drive, but um
Honestly, it's nothing for us. We have been driving back and forth to Nova Scotia every year, 3 or 4 times, and that's like a 14 to 16-hour drive. So we do
what do you
that
do there?
regularly. I'm from Nova Scotia originally, so a lot of
All
my
right.
family is still there, and I'm a photographer and I've built up a clientele there as well as where I live. So it's uh it's a back and forth quite often, usually, 2 to 3 times a year, which doesn't sound often, but is when you're driving that far. And so the short drive to Pennsylvania is like nothing for us.
Okay. Where are you with the Trailer Park Boys? Because
Oh my
that's
gosh, I met Bubbles in a bar once. So, yeah, no, I've seen them filming and stuff and run into the actors from time to time. I'm gonna be honest though, I'm sure I watched an episode or two like when it was at its peak,
yeah.
but not since. It's not that
It,
I don't want to or think that it's not a great show. I couldn't tell you one way or the other, but I think it's cool that something that has far reach came out of Nova Scotia, and that's kind of neat.
yeah. I don't yeah, it was a pretty cool thing. And I don't know if it was something like you because I've talked to some people for a few different things, like where there's a TV show and then everyone thinks that's how those people act, but it's not quite right. And I don't know if that's something that with that show, if
I
they're,
would certainly hope that people don't assume that's how people from Nova Scotia act, but you
right.
know what? Maybe that's the case.
And so, yeah, okay. And so, did you move as a kid then, or
I
did
moved as a
you
teen. Yeah, when I
a
was
teen?
16, I moved to Ontario and I did my last year of high school in Ontario.
Oh, okay. And then near where you live now?
Nearish, yeah. So I went to a small town, which was lovely. I loved and I still love Perth. It's a beautiful, artsy little town. I was involved in I think 8 major plays during that first year that I was there. And then also some of them I was acting, some in the orchestra, some doing wardrobe. Like that was a really cool experience for me. The arts has always been very important to me. And I in fact kind of chose my high school that way because there were two in town. We have a public system and a Catholic system that is still kind of public. It's a little weird, but anybody can go there. And
Okay.
so I went to look at both schools. I decided on the Catholic school just because I thought that the amenities were better. And then a couple of weeks before school, I got a phone call from some random middle-aged man asking for Sarah. Yeah, that's me. And it was the music teacher from the other school, the public school,
Oh,
saying, "Hey, I heard about you, and I heard that you might be going to St. John's, and here are all the reasons that I think you shouldn't, and that you should come to our school instead." And he told me all about the arts programs there and why it would be a better fit for me.
uh,
And so that's how I ended up at that school. He convinced me, and he's still a cool dude. He's off hiking through Europe for the past several years, and we still keep in touch. Several of my teachers from elementary and junior high I keep in touch with too.
whoa.
Yeah.
How how's that? I mean, I don't know. I have like one teacher maybe from that's my fourth and fifth grade teacher that I saw in probably 2000, maybe 2000, maybe somewhere in there. And I think that was the last time, and that was after, I guess I would have been out of high school. So maybe it was like 2002. I don't know, but I think that was the last time I saw him. But, um, and I think the other ones are probably all too old. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean
So, I,
that's a factor too. But I have
yeah.
a teacher, my teacher from grade 6. I still make an effort to get together with him to chat and have drinks or whatever. I mean, I don't drink anymore, but I make an effort to get together with him
Uh,
whenever I'm in Nova Scotia. And still one of the best teachers I've ever met. He really like made learning fun and made things interesting for every individual student, as far as I could tell. And then my grade 8 teacher, still one of the most lovely people I have ever met. I love Mrs. Zink. She when we homeschooled our kids, so there's been times where she would help with marking for high level tests and that sort of thing, just to make sure that there was no bias on my part. And she still follows me on Facebook and interacts quite often. And it's really lovely to still have those connections. She let me teach the drama portion of our English class in grade 8, and I'll never forget that. It was, but also lots of other things. She's a lovely person, and I think often we'll meet people that we have great connections with in unusual ways, but that doesn't mean that we don't still keep those connections.
right, right. And I think that's good. And oh, where did not where, what were you playing in the orchestra? Was
Uh, that year I did violin for one, I did clarinet for another, and I think there was a third one. I made it my goal by the time I left high school to learn to play every instrument in the band, in the concert band at, a level that I could play in the grade 12 concert band. But before that, in Nova Scotia, I don't know if it's still like this in Dartmouth, but when I grew up there, they had a really, really good and robust music program that was free to everyone. You paid like a very tiny registration fee, but they had all of the concert bands, they had choirs, they had jazz band, they had string lessons, and then also orchestras once you'd done that for a couple of years. So I learned a lot very early there. That started in grade 4 for strings and grade 6 for the concert band instruments. And that really, built an incredible foundation for music. And my family was very musical as well. My dad played guitar. My mom, I think probably some of my earliest memories are just her singing to me nonstop and always had music playing. So it's been an important part of life.
Uh, and so how have you gotten to do not what's the word, not multimedia, multi different when you have different kinds of what is it called? Shit. Different kinds of art types together. Mixed media,
Yeah, yeah.
is
So
that
I mean, I think that I think that if you're doing something like when I think of like an art event, if I was going to put on, my dream art show, which we've started running art shows, so I do think that incorporating as much as you can is great. So obviously, like we have our visual arts, but at our last art show, we also had, a half hour where people could get up and perform something if they wanted. And I love tying in all of the different things that I'm passionate about into whatever I do. And I also really like interactive elements. So one of the things that we've had at our last couple of events, we do a lot of I don't know if you guys have this, but Buy Nothing is like a Facebook group that there's one for each area where if you have something you're getting rid of, you post it. If someone has something they're getting
uh,
rid of, you say, hey, I would like to have that. And so it's sort of like, a trading platform for neighborhood areas. And
okay,
so
I know.
on
Yeah.
there a few months ago, there was an antique drafting table. And I two or
Dang.
three people in my house. I live with 11 people. Several people tagged me in that post and were like, "Hey, look at this!" And so, even though we weren't exactly sure where that table was going, we knew that we had to take it. And so, I've now started using that table as an interactive art table. So at our events, we set it up with different collage materials and allow people to do that thing that I was telling you about, where you build your own collage, take a photo of it, maybe upload it, but then you just get to wipe it clean for the next person. And so I really like including interactive elements to everything. But I think art has been made less accessible than it should be. Art is really for everyone. You don't need to be able to be great at something or to monetize it in order to be able to get enjoyment and value out of creating. And I think we make a huge mistake as a society of convincing people that art only has value if you can make money from it. And I'm really trying my best to get the people that I come in contact with out of that mindset and encourage people to create just for the sake of creating. It's what we should be doing as humans. It's part of our basic nature. So things like that make art accessible and easy make me happy.
Yeah. I heard someone say that, I think this was on TikTok or something, but that they wanted to make a YouTube where it doesn't show how many views each video gets and just plays you random videos. And I think that should be done with a lot of different art, because I think it's one of those things that you automatically have some sort of thing in your subconscious that, oh, this is uh $3 million of, or not $3 million, 3 million views of uh value, whereas my video that I did has 4 views. And
Yep,
like this one has 4 views of value and this one has 2 million or whatever, 2 million somehow something. But yeah, like not knowing that stuff and just yeah, because I think there's something in there. And uh or like with music, like if it's something that's
hmm
playing on the radio as opposed to just some song that comes on, like that. uh I don't know, I had a buddy who would he was really into the Chicago drill, like the underground, what's it called? SoundCloud rappers and
nice.
stuff from Chicago. And so he'd play these. He had like a radio show, and you know, it was like, right, like they'd upload these tracks this day and he'd go and put them up on his show that Sunday night. And
That's awesome.
it was pretty cool. And then he'd tell him like, yeah, man, I'm playing it here on the radio up in Oregon, like,
Aw,
and just yeah, to be something like that. Like, I think it's cool to be able to, you know, I like, yeah, I mean, but someone said like if someone's looking at your stuff like and makes them feel something, that's worth value right there. That's
absolutely.
that's value
And
for
honestly, all
everyone.
those millions of views or the videos with hundreds of thousands of views or the reels that, sometimes that's just sheer luck and sometimes it's less about the value and more about that person just knows how to work the algorithms. Like it's,
Right.
there we place our value maybe on the wrong things sometimes. But really like with art, with music, with dance, with anything, expressing yourself is important either way. So it doesn't even
That's
have
so
to be
true.
for other people. I've learned over the past little while as I start to introduce more people to art that art.
You will sleep better than you have ever slept. You've never been this relaxed. Are you ready to change your life?
I'm Rusty Diamond, certified hypnotist.
You don't need to leave your house. You can stay in your bed. You can stay in your favorite chair.
You just need a computer or your phone.
You can get a hold of me. Stay at home. I'll make your life better.
Hypnosisisgreat.com.
Art is also incredibly therapeutic, and while can help you connect to other people, it's also a great way to connect to yourself.
Which is important.
Mhm.
And uh do you ever have a piece where you're just like, I don't like this, but then someone else sees it or hears it or whatever way you're doing it and is like, oh, that's cool as shit. Let's do
Yeah,
something different with this than
absolutely.
what you
Especially
thought.
with the jewelry that I make, some of the things that sell the fastest are maybe the pieces that weren't my favorite. But that's the thing about making art. It's going to speak to different people in different ways. And
Yeah.
what I love isn't always what someone else is going to love, but I like trying new things and I really like abstract, so I make a lot of like abstract style art, and that doesn't speak to everyone, but sometimes, the colors or the specific combination of things or the way that they're shaped will really excite someone, even if they're not into abstract art. So I think it's neat to see what people gravitate to because it's not always the same as what I love.
Yeah. So then to quote Lisa Turtle from Saved by the Bell, what is art? Are we art? Is art art? Uh you know,
I actually think everything is art, honestly, and art is
I do
everywhere.
too.
Yeah, I take a
I
lot of like up close photos of things. If you're on my Facebook or go to Polly Kindred, a lot of the photos that I take and the prints that I sell are close-ups of either things out in nature, or I take a lot of close-up photos of things that people wouldn't necessarily think of as beautiful. A lot of, rotting wood and rusting dumpsters and things that
hell yeah.
aren't supposed to be pretty, but you just have to look at them in a different way.
You walk around a lot, don't you?
I do.
You do.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, you see that kind of stuff when you walk around. If you go to a
Hmm.
new city, that's how you get around. Anyone tells you you rent a car, you tell them, okay, good, that's for you. Don't do that. Uh,
Yeah.
do as much time just walking around. Like that's how you're going to be able to see something like that. You're going to be able to see those like everything. You're not just driving by, oh yeah, Big Ben, Parliament,
Yeah.
whatever you see. And but you're like, oh, okay, there's a rotting dumpster. Fuck yeah, let's take a picture of that. Like
Or like
who's gonna see
25
it?
pictures. But yeah,
25. Do you
there's so many different little spots that are like their own little abstract art pieces. So you have to take a whole bunch.
so do you go like all over? Do you like get one all set up and then change it, or do you
Oh yeah.
go like boom 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 and then move it and boom 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 boom, boom and then
Oh,
uh
usually because I'm pretty good now at like finding the shot that I want, I'll usually, find a spot that I really like, take one or two shots, maybe from like a couple of angles, and then move around to a new spot that looks cool and, do that for 5 minutes and then find the next rotting dumpster.
That's that might uh that might work out today for that. For thumbnail.
Yep.
Um yeah, okay. So you told everyone how they can find you as well already. Um
Yeah.
so
The best two
yeah.
places to find me are on Facebook because I'm always there, and sort of my technically my personal Facebook, but because I'm a digital creator, it's where everything lands. So Sarah Jean Stewart is where you can find me on Facebook, and then Polykindred Market is where we blog about our life, and you can sort of learn about all of the weird people in our little horde and how we interact and see all of our art.
Oh yeah, we all have our weird people we're with, and we make art because,
That's
like
right.
you said, art's everything,
It
and
is.
we hang out with weird people, man.
As you
It's
should.
what you do. That you find the people that fucking you're there with somehow.
Yeah, weird is
You're on
magic.
there, yeah, and you just do it and you fucking go. So thank you so much for being on, and yeah, we'll get you back on in 6 months if you want to
Yeah,
do another
fantastic.
one.
I'd love to.
Cool,
Nice
hell
seeing
yeah.
you. Thanks for having
Ni-
me.
ni- Nice seeing you too. It'll be before the tournament.
Yeah,
You're gonna bring your trophy on next time.
absolutely. Yeah, I've got
Okay,
a lovely little plaque that sits in our cabinet. It's
cool. Hell yeah. All right. Well, you take care. We'll talk later. All right.
all right. Talk soon.
All right. All right. That's Sarah Stewart. So check her out, Sarah Jean Stewart on Facebook. Um, yeah, you can find her there or her website she was talking about, which will be in the episode description. So thank you everybody so much for being here on the Rusty Diamond Podcast Network. Find me, rustydiamond.net, popuphealing.net, hypnosisisgreat.com, or go get a float with a hypnosis in it. You can go to East Coast Float Spot in Princeton, New Jersey, or Westchester, Pennsylvania. Tell them you want the Rusty Diamond special. They'll know what it means. Thanks, everybody. And that is the show, man. Boom!
It's Rusty Diamond, motherfucker. It's Rusty Diamond, motherfucker.